Good day, everybody. This is Michael Levitas from jurisq.com with Kevin Attkisson, a personal injury attorney in Dayton, Ohio from Attkisson Law Firm. Kevin, I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, you get this insurance, you pay extra premium for extra policy amount. Insurance could be as high as $250,000, $500,000, sometimes it's less. I'm not sure what the average is in Ohio. Maybe you could tell us. But you as an attorney, how do you make sure that you get from the insurance company the maximum amount or the full policy amount in a settlement for personal injury claim?
Yeah, so thank you, Michael. In Ohio, you're obviously required to have liability coverage for your automobile, and the amounts of coverage that you can have vary greatly. The state minimum
Right.
is $25,000, so someone can drive around, and if they hurt somebody, the maximum that person could get through their liability insurance is $25,000. So we always recommend that people get uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage.
Right.
And that will make up the difference between the low limits or no limits and the fair value of your case. Now, having said that, again, policy limits can go up to, you can have 250, you can have 500, you can have $1 million umbrella, and those are for individuals. But a typical policy in Ohio is 100,000, or what they call 100.
Okay.
That's 100,000 per person for a total of 300,000 per one single accident. That would be if there were multiple people in a motor vehicle and they suffered injuries. The max any one person could get would be 100,000 up to a total of 300,000. Now, having said that, if you're going to recover policy limits, your injuries have to warrant that, and we always maximize the value of someone's injury claim to get as much as possible. And if that means they're getting policy limits, and they're getting policy limits. If we're able to get a policy limits recovery on a case, then we investigate underinsured motorist coverage, and we'll go down that road as well. The insurance company for the other driver, okay, that's what we call the liability coverage, okay, and that's where you have to have at least $25,000.
Right.
The tricky part of that about that is that the insurance company for the other person doesn't have to disclose that information to us. So we won't know if we've got somebody who's got devastating injuries, and let's just say they're covered by Progressive, we'll be dealing with Progressive Insurance. Progressive does not have to disclose that person's policy limits to us. They could have 25, they could have 100, they could have more. They don't have to disclose that information to us. Now, they do if we're in litigation, that is, we file a lawsuit and we're in court, then that's discoverable information. But pre-suit, they don't have to disclose that to us. And sometimes we only find out when we've submitted a demand, and then they disclose, like, okay, we're going to offer this, and by the way, that is also our policy limits, okay? And so that's when we do further investigation and see if there's a viable underinsured motorist coverage claim at that point. But again, to get somebody the maximum recovery, you have to put together a good demand for the insurance company.
Right, of course.
That means we've investigated liability in the accident. We've got that taken care of. The other driver is at fault. We've investigated the injuries. We've documented the medical records. We've gone through our clients, the effect that it's had on their life, and we make sure all that's explained to the insurance companies, and then we submit it to them, and they do an evaluation, and then we negotiate from there. Okay. Usually, if it's a devastating injury, and depending on the policy limits, we will get them to their policy limits and get a case done. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the story as well. Somebody could be collectible beyond their policy limits, and we investigate that as well. So let's say somebody's got, a $50,000 policy, and there's no available uninsured motorist coverage or underinsured motorist coverage, and we investigate the person to see if they're collectible. I mean, if they're a rich person, if they're a millionaire and they've hurt somebody and they're driving around with a low limits policy, then they expose themselves to having to pay an excess judgment. That is a judgment in excess of what their policy is, the policy that they bought for themselves to protect themselves against liability. They need to, that's why everybody needs to make sure they have enough insurance coverage, because if you're collectible, we will find that out and we will
Sure.
pursue you. We will pursue you personally. So make sure you have enough insurance coverage out there.
It's a very sound advice. And Kevin, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy attorney. You're sharing your knowledge with us. We appreciate it. And everything you just said, again, puts real emphasis on how important it is to get a right personal injury attorney who can get the maximum compensation for you. And Kevin, I know it's in your interest to get the maximum for your clients, not only because you are a good attorney, you care about people, you want them to get compensated, but also because the more they earn, the more you earn. So you guys are kind of partners in a case.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I want to share Kevin's phone number. So that if anybody has any questions, they can call the firm, ask for Kevin, and get free consultation, maybe even get a second opinion on their personal injury case. The phone number is 937-400-0000. It's very easy, and hopefully in your check from insurance company, you also get a lot of zeros. 937-400-0000. Kevin, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.